In previous videos, we have discussed the importance of strong sequential skills for learning easily. I have shown you how to improve your students' visual sequential memory, both digit span and working memory. But in this video, we are going to focus more on building the auditory sequential memory. Interestingly, however, I have found this exercise also helps with expressive language, and I'll explain more about that later in the video. So Trey has offered to show us how to do this exercise. So we'll be explaining as we go along here, okay? So Trey, we're going to start with the level of 3 adding 2. So I'm going to put 3 blocks behind my shield. Any 3 blocks, and I'll say them once, you say them twice, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll point up like this, and that means be sure to get it in your memory, okay?
Yes.
All right. White, black, green. You say it twice.
White, black, green. White, black, green.
Okay.
White, black, green. White, black, green.
You have it up here? Okay. I'm going to add 2 more. Brown, red.
Brown, red.
Again.
Brown, red.
Okay, now get it up here.
Red.
And now put the whole thing together.
White, black, green, brown, red.
Good. And one more time. White.
White, black, green, brown, red.
You ready to go on?
Mm-hmm.
Here we go. Yellow, orange.
Yellow, orange. Yellow, orange. Yellow, orange. White, black, green, brown, red. Yellow, orange.
Again.
White, black, green, brown, red, yellow, orange.
Perfect. Which finger are we on, Trey?
Are we starting the new one?
Right.
We're going to
This
start on
one.
this one and end on that
Okay,
one.
perfect. Ready? Blue, white.
Blue, white. Blue, white. Blue, white. White, black, green, brown, red, yellow, orange, blue, white.
Yes. Can you do it again?
White, black, green, brown, red, yellow, orange, blue, white.
Okay. Your new ones are yellow, black. And we're going to start a new row over here with your new finger. Black, okay? Yellow, black. Say them.
Yellow, black, yellow, black. White, black, green, brown, red, yellow, orange, blue, white, yellow, black.
And one more time.
White, black, green, brown, red, yellow, orange, blue, white, yellow, black.
Perfect. Okay, here's your last set.
That's it. Woohoo.
Yeah. Ready? What finger are we on?
We're on this one.
Okay. Blue, pink.
Blue, blue, pink, blue, pink. Okay. White, black, green, brown, red, yellow, orange, blue, white, black, yellow, blue.
Yellow, black.
Oh, yellow, black, pink, blue, pink.
And again. 2 more times.
White, black, green, brown, red, yellow, orange, blue, white, yellow, black, blue, pink.
One more time.
White, black, green. Okay, white, black, green, brown, red, yellow, orange, blue, white, yellow, black, blue, pink.
Woohoo, you did it. it, 13 blocks. Now I'm going to ask you to build that from memory.
Okay.
After you have your first set, do you already have the next set of blocks?
So I'm putting, yeah, good question. I'm putting my set out while he's going through the whole thing from memory.
Okay.
So I'm with him when he's practicing those new ones over and over. And then as he's kind of getting it up here, then I reach over and I grab my new ones. So
Okay.
he's partly so he's not like watching what I'm pulling,
Okay.
but mostly just to be ready for
Okay.
him. And then I have that set up when he does
Okay. And I'm trying to remember, I had another question, but I didn't want to interrupt in the middle of it. If there's a reversal or a mistake, interrupt right then.
Yes.
Okay.
What I do is I give just a tiny bit of time for them to correct.
Mm-hmm.
If they seem like they're not going to correct it on their own,
Mm-hmm.
then I interrupt and give them the correction.
Okay.
So they don't persevere in making the mistake. They have to
Okay.
embed that mistake in their mind.
Okay.
So that's when he did the black, yellow.
Yeah.
I waited to see if he was going to go on or whether he was going to self-correct.
Mhm.
When he didn't, when he looked like he was ready to go on without self-correcting, then I corrected him immediately.
Okay.
And then, once they make a mistake,
Mhm.
they need to go through all the way 2 more times without
Okay.
mistakes.
Okay.
So we don't go on until the student has recited the entire thing correctly without any help 2
Okay.
times.
Okay.
So if you have to do any assistance, then they have to do 2 more times.
Okay.
Let's show Trey how he did here, and look at that, perfect.
Yay, very cool.
And so as
White, black,
right, black, green, brown, red.
yellow, orange, blue, white, yellow, black, blue, pink. I'll just say it looked very, very different in my head.
Did it?
Yes, it did.
That's interesting. And one of the things that, so also back here, I'm building what would be backwards to me, which is what is forward to him. So this is a reading exercise
Mhm.
and an auditory sequencing, so we want to have the student building left to right.
Okay.
And so I'm building
Right to
right to left.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm gonna write that down.
So behind the screen, I am, so I'm going to show this as if, so they can see it,
Okay.
the video can see it, and you. So like I am starting like this, then I'm adding here, getting that ready,
Okay.
and then when he's reciting it, he's getting it into his memory, these
Okay.
go into his memory, I'm adding these. Sometimes
Okay.
I'll even separate them a little bit so I know where I'm at.
Mhm.
But anyway, so and I'm getting it all set up each time before the student gets there, so we're not wasting their time.
Okay, and so your process essentially is you set out your blocks and then you say, I was trying to write down what you said, I say them once, you say them twice, and you tell them when I point to my head, that's to tell you to get it into your memory. And so then you do that, you say it once with the fingers, and then he says it twice, and then you're pointing to your head while you're doing the next set of blocks?
Well, yeah, I go like this, and
Okay.
while he's getting it into his
Okay.
memory, then I'm setting up.
Okay. And then, okay.
And then he
I
has to do
think
the
I
whole
have
thing
it.
that runs through after that. And this may or may not apply for you,
Mhm.
because he was just repeating it over and over to get it up here.
Mhm.
That is not typically a way that students implant it in their short-term memory.
Okay.
Most students will close their eyes and imagine it,
Okay.
or they will think about, oh, this is a bumblebee colors,
Okay.
or something. There's zebra colors, and they'll be thinking more in terms of what tools can I use to help me remember it. And for him, auditory was strong enough. He could just repeat it,
Okay.
and it implanted it in a short-term memory. Obviously, we don't need this in a long-term memory. It's just a short-term so they can get it down. And this is really important for sequencing sounds
Mhm.
for reading, so that they can
Okay.
blend sounds together, but also it's good for any auditory skill like spelling. It's really good for the spelling.
Okay.
And even auditory memory of skip counting.
Okay.
Anything like that that has a sequential memory,
Okay.
this will help build that.
Okay.
And it just builds it through the auditory pathway more than the visual, but then at the very end, we have them take it from out of the visual and put it out of the auditory and put it into the visual.
Okay.
And that just takes them just a little bit further
Okay.
in their skill level. Now, I said at the beginning of this video that I would explain how this exercise surprisingly helps with expressive language. What I've noticed is that when many of my students go to recite the colors, they make mistakes, not because they can't remember the correct color, but because they're choosing the wrong word from their word bank. A common confusion is white and yellow, or even surprisingly black and white, blue and brown, green and blue. Many, many different confusions, and each child is different, of course. But the child means to say one color, but then says another. I've even noticed this when the child is looking at the color. He or she obviously knows the difference between white and yellow, and knows the correct word, but the child goes into his word bank and chooses the wrong word. This exercise helps the problem in two ways. First, the child stores information in their brain in a random fashion. Everything's in a jumble. This exercise helps improve the child's sequential skills, so it is easier for the child to sort information and to find the word that he or she wants. Additionally, because colors are very common and non-threatening compared to letters, the student is more readily able to notice his errors and improve. This is the first stage of two stages in the auditory sequential memory exercise.